to do here starting today is we're going to use elimination using addition. Like I said, we've already done graphing. We've already done substitution, so this is going to kind of get us down the home stretch here. Bless you. So in systems of equations in which, and this is the important part, the x and y terms are opposites. In other words, you have a positive and negative of the same number in front of one of your variables. Then I can just add down, eliminate one of the variables, and figure out what the other one's going to be. So the one that I did for you up here at the top, if I looked at these two equations, I'm like, oh, if I add down right now, 1x and 3x is 4x, okay. But here's the key. Negative 3y and positive 3. Well, negative 3 and positive 3 are opposites. They cancel each other. And all of a sudden, I just have one variable left, x. And it's a one step. I just divide by the 4, and I get everything set. I figure out what x is. And then I do have to do some substitution, though. Because once I know what x is, I don't know what y is yet. So I can pick one of the two equations. Normally, I'll just use the bottom one, but you can do whatever. So you'll notice what happened is, right here, I took the 4 that I knew x equaled, and I plugged it in. And then y was my only variable left, and it's a two-step equation, which, again, most of you have shown me you're experts at. So this should be something that doesn't end up being something that's too terribly awful as far as being able to knock some of these out. So let's get down here to number 1. We'll do like we have done a lot of these. We'll do the first couple together. Then I'll have you try one kind of on your own, kind of see how that's going. So I'm going to add down, and I'm like, okay, 1x and another 1 would be 2x. Positive y plus negative y, well, they're opposites, so they cancel. That's a good thing. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. And just like that, I'm down to one variable, and even better yet, I only got one step left. And that's going to be to divide by the 2. Okay. So just that quick, I've already got one of the variables. Once that's done, my last part to this is going to be to pick one of the equations and plug the value in. Now again, you can do whatever one you want. If one looks easier than the other, I'd do that. So let's say I use the top one. I'll get the same answer with either though. So if I take that top one, so x plus y equals negative 4, I'm going to plug that x value, of course, in for x. And again, especially on the notes, maybe you don't want to do it on the homework, but for the notes part, it's really good to show yourself with the arrow, well, why am I plugging this in there? Oh yeah, because that's what x equals. So negative 1 plus y equals negative 4, because the x goes away and gets replaced by the number. And now I only got one step left, and I know what y is too. And once I've got both of those values, typically, and we didn't make mention of this much when we were doing the example, we want to put our answers in coordinate form. Because if I were to graph these two lines, they'd cross at this particular point. So my actual answer for this one would be negative 1, negative 3. Because I do the x value first and then the y value second, just like it is in the alphabet. And basically, that's all we're up to as far as completing these go. So for all the ones that we do today and tomorrow, when I go to add down, one of the variables will always cancel out. And it may not always be y or x, it could be either. So I look at this next one, and I say, okay, 2 plus 1, so I got 3x. Negative 3y plus positive 3y. Negative and positive 3 are opposites. I like that. Y is gone. 14 and negative 11 would be 3. And I'm down to a one-step equation. So again, it should only take a step and possibly 2 every once in a while. We're going to have that ready to go. And then again, I can pick which equation I want to plug it into. Again, it doesn't matter. Let's say I go to the top one again. So normally what I do is I actually will write whichever equation I'm going to plug it into down again, and here's why. Then I can say, okay, that's x. And I know where I'm putting it. I'm not just sticking it somewhere and then going, oops, that didn't make any sense. So I'm going to replace just the x part, not the 2, but just the x with my x value. And again, on problems like this, it's worth it to take it and just do it one step at a time instead of trying to do 3 steps at once because you're in a rush. All that's going to do is mess things up and get you frustrated. Get that y term alone. So again, to get this alone, I got to get that positive 2 out of there. So I'm going to minus that out. And then again, I'm not minusing 3 from y, I'm multiplying negative 3 times y. And again, at that point, once I have my 2 answers, once I have x solved for and y solved for, I always want to get my answer in my form where I've got x and then y. Okay. So like we've done before, I want you to use these first 2 just to try and help out. We're going to take a small pause here. I want you to try out number 3. I'm going to cover this up. Kind of compare back and forth. We're just adding down and see if you can come up with the answer. And if somebody's watching this later, put me on pause while you try it and see if you come up with the right answer. So we're working through here. So on 3, quite a few of you got the correct answer. For those of you that have some issues, don't throw your hands up and go, see, I don't get this. Here's the 2 things that I saw, for the most part, in people that had some issues. One of them was back in this very first step. I saw several of you have negative 3y equals 0. But remember, when you're adding down, negative 9 plus 0, it still gives you negative 9. I'm not multiplying there. And everything else looked absolutely great. Okay? That was my one part. Here's the other one. The other issue came in this step here where I've got this red 3. Some of you had the right answer for the first one, but when you went to substitute it in, you put 3x plus 3 because you saw this was a positive, and I can see why you would do that. But that's why I would kind of prefer, and I didn't even do it myself here, bad me, is that you'd actually rewrite the equation you're going to put it into, because then when you go to substitute, you're going to see that minus there, and it's going to remind you, oh yeah, it's 3x minus 3. Even though it's a positive 3, I'm substituting that minus or that negative's there. Bless you. So those are just some little detail things. But like I said, for those of you that had gotten a pretty good jump in there in that couple of minutes, it looked like we were on the right track with some stuff. And if some of you did have a couple of minor issues, just kind of look at what you'd done when you were doing this and say, oh yeah, I did. I forgot that negative 9 plus 0 would be negative 9, or I forgot that minus in there. That's minor stuff we can take care of. But again, this is going to take some time, and it really is going to test your ability to do detail work and not just rush through and throw something on there and say, woo, I'm done. And I want to do a couple more on the back just so we can kind of get on a roll. And then I'll get you some time to be able to finish up some things as far as as far as the homework goes. We will make sure that is one of the ones we hit up here momentarily. All right, let's take a look at 4. Then we're going to jump over to 6. So again, when I'm adding down, if I see opposites, a positive 3 and a negative 3, that would qualify. Okay, so those will cancel out. But then again, I do have to pay attention to signs. Negative 4 plus negative 1. If I borrow $4 from somebody and then I borrow another $1, now I owe them 5. And then I guess it's the same thing here. I borrow $1, I borrow $4 more. And I'm ready to roll. Once I eliminate that one variable, we've got to make sure negative divided by negative is positive. I mean, there's lots of things in here that can get me if I'm not careful. And again, if I've got to have the calculator double check me on this to kind of keep me in line, that's okay. Oh, let's see. Which one do I want to plug into? I'm going to plug into the top one. So as we're doing this, again, I'm going to be good about this. I'm going to rewrite it because I want to remind myself, okay, I'm going to plug this in. I'm going to plug it in for y right there. So when I go to plug that in, I leave the 4 alone. I'm just taking out the y. And now I can start simplifying this stuff. Negative 4, positive 1 gets me negative 4. And now I'm just going into two-step equation mode. I want that negative 3x by itself, but this minus 4 is hanging out, so I got to do the opposite. And then that last step, more times than not, is just going to be to divide. Chris, that electrical will work better for you. And then I just put my answer in the form of a coordinate point. And that's it on these. And again, my variable can be different each time. It's not going to be something that's always, it has to be this way, it has to be that way. All right, now let's check this one out here and see what issues we got. Negative 2 and positive 2. Okay, they're opposites. We're good there. 2 plus negative 1 would be a 1y, or just y. And 9 plus negative 6 is 3. I don't even have to divide on this one. That's nice. So then I can pick either one to plug it into. I guess since I keep doing the top for some reason, I'll do that again here. So I'm going to take my 3. I'm going to plug it in for y. So I get that popped in there. And I agree. I was told this was going to turn into a decimal, and it is. So again, I can't assume. Huh? That one too? Yeah. Okay. So sometime if you get a decimal working on one of these, don't think, that it's necessarily wrong. That can happen sometimes. Not everything in life comes out simple and easy. Sometimes it can get a little more complicated than that. So if I get a decimal, no worries. Then again, I always want my answer to be my x value, then my y value. And I'm ready to roll. And since we want to see that's not just a fluke, we'll do one more here. We will do number 8. That's going to get kind of crazy on us here. Actually, I'm going to go away from 8. You're like, why are you going away from 8? Because I want some of you to see that it's not always going to be x that cancels out. So let's go for 7. So one last one, 2x plus 3x. Okay, I got 5 x's. No x is going away this time. 2 plus negative 2. Okay, that goes away. Negative 2 plus 12 is 10. Then again, typically it's just going to be one step. Divide by 5. Get my x. So this time we actually got x first. I'm going to use the top equation like we have been. Again, either equation would get me the same answer though. So it isn't going to be, if I don't pick the right one, am I going to get a different answer? Is it going to be wrong? Nope. It's still going to be good. Replace my x with my x value, the 2. Simplify everything. Slow and steady wins the race here. The sprinters usually don't win when it comes to solving math expressions because they make errors. Negative 2 and negative 4. Again, we're adding them up. If I owe somebody $2 and then I owe them 4 more, it's going to make me worse off. So negative 6. Divide by 2. And again, my final answer I always want to be in the form of a coordinate with x and then y. So your job is going to be on our other sheet, our practice sheet. Because again, the best way to learn anything is to, once you got down, to get some practice. Uh-oh. Let's see what's going on here. All right, this is going to be the start of homework check number 3. This is going to be our first assignment in there. And interesting what happens in the very first problem. So let's take a look at this. I go to add down, and I'm like, okay, negative 2 plus 2. Oh, okay, the x's went away this time. Good deal. But then I get to the y's. Well, wait a minute. Y plus negative y, wait, they're opposites. What? There's nothing left over there. And 0 doesn't equal 1. Okay, if all your variables go away, one of two things is going to end up happening on those. If they don't equal each other, 0 doesn't equal 1, it's no solution. If you get a problem where you end up with 0 equals 0 at the end, and that could happen. The answer to 1 in that situation would be basically any numbers I stick in for x and y would work. So the answer would be all reals. But these two don't happen a lot. But I do want you to be aware of them if they do. And I don't believe, and I see some of you writing, so I won't flip over quite yet. I don't believe there's an all reals on here, but I'm going to peek in a minute to see, maybe give you a heads up on where it might end up here. Let me take a quick peek. Nope, 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 nope. Nope, there will be no all reals on this one. I think that's going to be your only no solution. So for the rest of these, it's just going to be add down, eliminate that first variable, then plug it into the other one. tomorrow we'll play with some more of these to make sure it's going okay. And